By the way, am I calling you Kathryn or Katie?
Kathryn.
Kathryn, okay. All right, come on in, everybody. Welcome back to the Holler. TNHoller.com is where you can find us at the TN Holler on Twitter and Facebook. We also have Hollers hollering all across the state. Thanks to your support, we really do appreciate it. Your small dollar monthly donations are what keep us going. And we just want to send a couple of special shout outs to Elisa Parker. If you're buying or selling a home in Middle Tennessee, do it through Elisa. She's very supportive of us. And if you need a lawyer, Abby Rubenfeld is who you should call. Kathryn, you'll never need a lawyer again after this, hopefully. And then also, hopefully, and I don't know why that's not coming up. And then if you need any jewelry in Nashville, AJ Martin is not your grandmother's jewelry store. Those are people that support us, so we always want to shout them out at the beginning of these broadcasts. Thank you to them for keeping us going. Today, we wanted to stop in here and talk to somebody who's a part of something that we were really hoping would happen, and now it's finally happening. And special salute to the teachers that are doing it. So just for context, a while back, Tennessee Republicans passed a quote-unquote divisive concepts law that basically outlines a handful of ideas that teachers are not allowed to teach in Tennessee, or else they getting punished. And actually, Coach Hahn in East Tennessee, there's these kind of parameters that say, like, you're not allowed to make kids feel bad, and you're not allowed to teach essentially the truth. And it has had this basically chilling effect on teachers because they're not really sure what they can and can't teach. And that's been the problem that they were warned about from the beginning. And frankly, it's probably the goal of this law. So now we have a group of teachers that have come together with, I guess, the TEA, the Tennessee Education Association, and they're suing the state over this divisive concepts law. And one of those teachers that is a party to that lawsuit is here with us today, and it's Kathryn Vaughn at Miss Katie Dye on Twitter, where we follow her. Kathryn, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing well. Happy back to school season for everybody out there.
Yes, my child goes back to a half day on Friday, and I guess you're in school right now getting ready. So I guess first what I'd like to know is what were your initial thoughts when this law passed?
Well, this law passed as part of that special session on learning loss that we had all the way back in 2021 and in result after the pandemic. And when this law was passed, it took a lot of teachers off guard. Like, we had never heard of CRT before. These concepts weren't taught in Tennessee schools. And so when this went into law, it was shocking.
Well, and most people hadn't heard of CRT before. CRT was intentionally brought up as a way to fearmonger and attack schools, attack teachers. And the context is Governor Lee's number one priority when he got into office was schools privatization. So passing his vouchers, pushing these charter bills, pushing the state charter appeal board to overrule local communities when they don't want these charter schools. This is all an effort to squeeze public schools and make teachers' jobs harder, to drive kids away from schools. And so the law passed. As you said, it was part of that special session. And that was actually a couple of years ago now. So at what point did the idea of suing the state come to you?
Well, it didn't come to me. I just was part of it because teaching under this law is incredibly confusing. I mean, it makes almost everything you can think of divisive, from teaching about the Holocaust to 9/11 to doing a classroom election. Like everything could be called under this law. It is so poorly written and so vague. And the penalties for teachers are so incredibly steep. And we're seeing this, like Billy's little playbook, play out in other states across our nation, like in Oklahoma and Texas and Arizona and Florida. So I had written a piece for Education Weekly, for Ed Weekly, about my experience teaching under this law and how I kind of held back some of my curriculum and hollowed out my lessons and changed what I do every day, just so that I could protect myself. I'm like the sole source of income for my family. My husband's a combat veteran and now a stay-at-home dad to our 2-year-old. So keeping my job is very important. And I wanted to protect education in our state. And then hopefully this law will be challenged in other states and we can protect teachers' jobs there as well. But yeah, this was not a great piece of legislation. And I think right off the bat, we knew that it would be challenged, but it's taken a while to put a lawsuit together.
Can you talk more about how this law impacts you as a teacher day to day? Like you mentioned that you rewrote some lessons. Can you feel this law hovering over you, like the sword of Damocles? Like, do teachers discuss this law with each other and say, like, I don't know what I can teach?
You know, the thing with this law is the rollout of it from our Department of Education, from our government, was so poorly done that a lot of teachers aren't even aware that this law exists. Our curriculum hasn't changed to be adjusted to it already. So if you're in your classroom and you're reading your scripted curriculum, any part of it could be challenged under this law. Luckily, we haven't seen that many teachers challenged in our state yet. But as the public finds out more about it, there's no telling where this could go. And they're looking at a bill to expand it. So it doesn't have to be just a parent of a child in your classroom, but it could be anyone. And as you know, Tennessee, we have a lot of activists in our state that are looking to dunk on public education and teachers. We have the Moms for Liberty group, and we've got other groups like that that would definitely challenge teachers.
Well, let's be clear. They're looking to do more than dunk on public education. They're looking to end it. And I think people need to understand the stakes here. You know, these are people who see our public schools as ideologically driven centers, woke, you know, breeding grounds that are like taking over our children. And, you know, a lot of them don't have kids in our schools, like you said. So we've got now people who basically have standing to challenge what you guys are teaching that don't have any skin in the game. And a study was just done recently that most people like public schools, that have their kids in public schools. It's the people on the outside that are being fed this stuff, that want to challenge this, that want to feed into these things, and that are causing the problem. So public schools in general are actually very popular and people are happy with them. You know, it's these extremist ideas that are causing people to give them grief. I guess I would ask about specifically the lawsuit. What does the lawsuit say?
Well, the lawsuit is going after directions. Like, we want this law to be eliminated or rewritten so that it's clearer as to what teachers can and can't do. Right now, it's just so vague. It covers so much. It really puts us in an impossible position in the classroom.
Right, and I guess what I'm wondering is, like, what is the basis for the lawsuit? Can you get into like what specifically the lawsuit hangs on, or is that legalese that is a little tough to get into?
Yeah. Yeah, as a teacher and not a trained lawyer, and let me tell you, the law firms that have taken this on are some of the best
Did
and
I lose you?
brightest in the nation. There are people that have challenged and cases in front of the Supreme Court that have taken this on, but they're looking specifically at the 14th Amendment.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah. And there was actually a really good article. in the Washington Post by Greg Sargent, who wrote about, that you guys are challenging this law, what it hangs on. So I encourage people to find that and read it. And, again, the article closes with the idea of this chilling effect, that it's not necessarily specifically what's in the law. It's the chilling effect that it has on the teachers, what they can teach, and this sort of general whitewashing of the truth and of our history that is the goal. And it's a whitewashing that we've seen in many different ways. So basically, they're just putting teachers in an impossible situation where they're not even sure what they can and can't teach. What do you think people should know about how they can help in these moments? Like, should they be reaching out to their legislators? Should they just be monitoring the lawsuit? Like, what should people know right now?
Oh, well, I'm a big fan of reaching out to legislators. And if you're a teacher, I highly suggest you invite your legislators into your classroom. I've hosted Mark White, the chairman of education. I've hosted my own two personal legislators, Moody and Rose. And I suggest that teachers do that. Like, our classrooms seem to be a mystery in what happens here. And Tennessee is the most heavily legislative state in the union when it comes to education law. So they're passing all these laws about us. They might as well come and see what it's like and to be in boots on the ground in the classroom.
Are you guys are these just woke indoctrination centers? Like, are you guys just teaching kids how to be woke? Is that what's going on in there?
Oh my gosh, no. My school won a patriotism award. Like, we are so not woke. It's ridiculous. Like, Tennessee did not need this law. No one needed this law. We love our schools in Tennessee. We love our public education. I think something like 90% of our children in our state attend public schools. We just need them to be funded.
Amen. Yes. I think that's the main point here, that we are attacking our already underfunded public schools at every turn. And what we should really be doing is standing up for teachers like Kathryn and appreciating you. Just as a final thing here before I let you go, what's the general vibe among teachers right now about teaching in Tennessee? We see a lot of the panic and frustration about, the testing and lack of pay and lack of support and lack of trust. Are you seeing that manifest itself with your colleagues? I know there's a big shortage right now. What are you seeing in general?
Yeah, I mean, Governor Lee unfortunately has done everything that he can to get public education in our state over his last several years in office. And we are seeing that on the ground. Every day I'm getting an email from central office about a new position that's opened because someone else has left education or moved on to a different career. I mean, we have an epic shortage of teachers in our state, and that's going to make things harder for everybody going back to school. If you believe in public school and you want your public school fully funded, call your legislators, tweet about this issue, share our stories, and hopefully we can make our schools even better, because our children deserve it.
Amen. Well, thank you for what you're doing. Most of the articles that I've read about this show that this could be a model for the rest of the country, that this is an important lawsuit because of what it could mean for laws like this in general. So you guys are the front lines of taking a stand against the war on the truth. And so I appreciate what you do and appreciate teachers in general. So thank you.
Thank you. Love what we do. It's the best job ever.
All right. Thanks, Kathryn. Take care.
Thanks. You too.
So that was at Miss Katie Dye on Twitter, Kathryn Vaughn, a teacher in West Tennessee. And I think the main point is, we need to see the attack on public schools in context. It's not just about the divisive concepts law. It's not just about the third grade retention law. It's not just about the charters and the appeal board that overrules local schools. It's all of it. It should all be seen in the context of Governor Lee's main agenda is to squeeze our public schools, squeeze our teachers, make everybody uncomfortable, steer kids out of our public school system into ideologically driven schools like the Hillsdale charter schools, etc., through charters and vouchers and the like. So it's all part of the privatization agenda. This divisive concepts bill is terrible. It is a whitewashing bill that is intended to make our schools uncomfortable. And so I'm really glad that they're suing. I'm really interested to see how it goes, and it could really be a model for the rest of the country. So I hope you guys will pay attention to it. Follow her at Miss Katie Dye on Twitter, and follow us at the TN Holler on all your social media platforms. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.